Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Podquester Mini. I'm with these two lovely folks right here. How's it going? How's it going?
Oh, it's
fantastic.
I can only listen to so many things at once. How's it going, Sharifa?
It's going good. It's been like a wild week for me. A million things are happening in all different aspects of my life. For people who like messaged me on Twitter, like really kind stuff, especially about Brown Girl Breakdown. And if I haven't gotten back to you, I'm so sorry. This week is just like chaos, but I will. I love you all. I'm very excited to talk with everybody. So like, thank you everyone for having a bit of patience with me for what this week is for me. And I'm excited to move past this week and have a bit more time. So
we're excited for everything we have moving forward. We did just say on our Twitter that we're going to be announcing some schedule changes in the next day or so. And in those schedule changes include the next Brown Girl Breakdown. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, Louie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, thanks. I'm very excited for this. I feel like this is one of the podcasts that we had discussed when we first brought up the idea of Podquester, and it's happening now. So I'm excited to go through it.
It's all coming full circle. It's all coming together, and it's just beautiful. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm so excited for the panel that we have today. We're going to be talking some strategy. We're going to be bringing up some twists. We're going to figure out different ways to look at it, different ways to approach it, depending on what style of gameplay you might be trying to go for. So let's bring in our wonderful panel. We have what many would say is the most robbed queen of the prom mini. You saw her video. You saw what she did to that dress of hers. I don't know how she got most of that red out of that dress, but she did it. Let's bring in Sarah Yelle. How's it going?
Hello, everyone. I'm wearing glasses because I'm an intellectual today, and I thought Charlie was robbed queen of our mini, but thank you.
Well, I guess that's the beauty of this community. We all have our different thoughts on the games, but we can all come together with our mutual love. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course. We also have next up, you've heard about him bragging about his strategy spreadsheets that he's got. Let's see if we can put them to the test today on this stream here. Let's bring in the cowboy from, I don't know where he's from, but come back Charlie himself. Charlie, where are you from, Charlie?
Hey, I'm originally from New York City, and I'm now in Ohio. You know me.
You know him from Ohio. Come back, Charlie. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
The chess.
Some chess.
Are you playing against yourself?
No, my friend is on the other side. He's just short.
Oh, gotcha. Well, you're gonna have to update us on the game. We're all rooting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a strategy show. I got to show,
Of course, I get it. It's totally fitting, and I really appreciate you going the extra mile. Sarah, I don't know. You're kind of being showed up right now as a guest.
I know. I didn't know I needed props.
Yikes! Let's hope our last guest also has a chessboard that they can whip out. Let's bring in the only two-time Sequester Mini winner, Jacob. Jacob.
These are my props.
Oh,
it's my dinner for tonight.
Gotcha. Okay. Next best thing, I would say.
Yes, and I'm also super excited to be on with my two favorite Alliance members, Louie and Sharifa, today.
Ditto.
Hey, I will say in our first mini together, we kind of bonded over having long collared shirts. In the one room we were in together before I was eliminated.
Well, I actually liked you too. I was actually sad that you got booted so early.
Yeah, so was I. But you went far, and you began your very decorated career here in the Sequester community. And we're excited to have you joining us on the panel today.
Awesome.
Everyone, we're going to get into some strategy. We have some people watching. They're dying to know your thoughts on how to approach some of these twists that people usually see in the rounds. I don't know. I think that we kind of cover a decent little swath of, gameplay here. I don't think that, any one of us here are too similar in our styles. I don't know. What do you think? I think we kind of are going to be bringing in different perspectives here.
If you combined all of us, we would be the most unstoppable player in reality television.
Oh God,
I am the most cracked player.
yeah, true.
Also true.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, so I hope you're all ready. We're gonna get into it. We're just gonna, start off with a strategy. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about different angles. If you have any questions, you can ask it. And then when we feel we've come to an end on that twist, we'll move on to the next one, and we'll go and go and go until we can't go no more. So let's bring in the first one. Let's talk about the now or later twist. So this is one that we've been seeing. Sometimes you'll see it later in the game, but I feel like typically lately we've been seeing it in the first part of the game, in the pre-jury portion of the game. And this is, of course, the twist that takes place over 2 rounds, where players are given 1 vote for 2 rounds, and they can either vote now or later, but they can't vote both. And in between the rounds, after the first person is eliminated from the first round, Audrey usually reveals the number of votes of people who voted. At first, when she was doing this, she did reveal who voted, but obviously the trend then became to target those people. So it transitioned into just revealing the number of votes. So what do we think the strategy here is for? Obviously, before, when she did reveal the name, I think the strategy was try and put yourself in a position where you don't need to vote the first round because you're almost guaranteed to go in the next one. But I don't know. What are your thoughts now? Having played, I feel like all of us have played recent enough to have played this twist a couple different times. So I don't know. Have you tried different strategies or different approaches to this, or what typically works for you?
Now that it's changed, that it's anonymous, I feel like that's affected this round greatly. Because I played this in my first mini with all the players being announced who voted in the first round, and then in the second time I played Winners at War, it was anonymous. And what I like about that is the ability to potentially have an effect in that first round without people knowing. And I really think if you vote in that first round, you have to play it off like you didn't, so that people don't try to monopolize that and get votes against you.
See, I definitely see it as that, but I've never played that way because the first game I had it in, I voted in the second round, and the Winners at War, I voted in the first round, I believe. And I think if you have, the people who you're working with, because this is kind of like early to middle kind of the game. I know it's before jury, I believe. But I feel like if you have 2 names going into this round, then I feel like you should just wait to vote later, wait to vote the second time, because I feel like the first time it's way too risky to kind of cash your vote right there, because you should have a second round that could be even if your name isn't thrown out there. So I just think the better strategy facing this twist would be to vote in the second round and also have names that are already out there for the 1 and 2.
But I think there's a way to monopolize that to your advantage. If there's going to be a low number of people voting in that first round, and you're not going to be exposed. Like what I did in Winners at War, this was the round I voted out Johnny in order to protect my allies, because I knew that their names were being brought out. But I told everyone, I was like, nope, I didn't vote in this round. The only person who knew I voted in that round was me. And that way I was able to have an effect. Because remember, Johnny left by 1 vote, and that very would have been mine. So I think there's a way to sort of prey on that strategy and to flip it, because there's no way to prove who voted where, and you can benefit.
And everyone goes around and say, "Hey, did you vote? Did you vote first round?" And everyone goes around, so I feel like you can definitely use that way. I agree with that.
My technique in this has kind of shifted a bit in the fact that my first few games, I always voted second round. I always wanted to save my vote just in case. But I've just realized of late when I play it, it does seem like less and less people. You're more at risk going home in the first round just because so many people are trying to save their vote, that you could be in a good position. And if 4 people vote, you could, go home on a hinky vote or something like that. So I think the biggest thing is getting 2 names out there immediately. Yeah. Just letting everybody know it's this name first round, this name second round, and just spreading that as much as you possibly can and getting it off of you. And then just kind of feeling it out from there. I would say also what I realized from the last game is if you're in a room with a decent amount of people, just be very wary of what they're doing with the keyboard. Look and see if they voted or not, because it's pretty easy to tell in those rounds if they voted. And if you're seeing nobody's voting and those people are supposed to be aligned with you, then vote and get your vote in there, because you don't want to go home on a 2-1-1 vote.
And that's what we've been seeing is like, it hasn't been splitting evenly a lot. It's been really unbalanced between people voting in the first round and people voting in the second round. So I feel like the vibes of the first round are very palpable, and people can usually tell, how panicked other people are feeling, because I think people are starting to adjust to the fact that you can go home on so few votes, especially in the first round. That, for example, in the international mini, we got the first half of an hour later at final 16, and 12 people voted, which was just a huge amount, especially when really there were only 2 names out there. So it showed that, people weren't very secure in their alliances. And so I feel like, honestly, it depends what kind of game you're playing, because I think oftentimes winning games, you have to just not be one of those names in the first place, and it can usually be pretty negligible in that round for the person who goes on to win, how they voted in this round. This is just putting the people who have been in danger in more danger, because they have 2 tough rounds to keep their name from being the majority.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, every single time I've done this round, I've always voted
at Alex.
Huh?
I glitched, I think.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were talking, and then I started to say a thing, and then I realized you were, and I realized I was glitching, and then I just died inside. It's fine.
Oh, you're fine. I can restart. I was just going to say, every single time that I've played, I've always voted in the second round. I think my strategy is to force the most people to vote the first round that I can. So, like, if I, even casually hear someone's name, I think it's important that they know that, so they're more pressured to vote the first round. And, I think if you're the one also telling them their name, then they're not going to, you build that little bit of trust. They're not going to want you to be the person going home. You know what I mean? That's been my experience.
They are not really. That's interesting. It's true.
I do that, and I know it's ridiculous. So here's what I do is when I go to vote and I know the person's in the room and I'm voting for that person and their name is a short name, and I'm supposed to be voting for somebody with a long name. Let's say I'm writing Sam, I'll be SAMMM \\\\\. Even though it's ridiculous and nobody's looking at that, I try to, just in case anybody's as ridiculous as I am and is looking for that, I make sure to type the proper number of keys.
I remember when I was at war, I pretended, because my entire alliance was don't vote this round, we'll vote this round, you save it. And because I was supposed to save the vote and vote for Cameron the next round, if I remember correctly. But when I was in a room with them, so I was trying to make sure it didn't look like my arms were moving as I typed in Johnny's name.
And I only do that, I only get conscious when I'm looking for LOS, and I'm just looking straight at the camera the entire time while having my fingers stationary on there. And I still am conscious of that.
Oh, what I was going to say about Alex was, because someone brought up a point about if you're in danger in these first 2 rounds, that the chances of you going home next are high. And I just look at Alex, who, he almost went home in the international mini on this round. It tied, and then it tied again, and Dina ended up leaving on the wheel. He went on to win that entire game.
Yeah.
Just food for thought.
Wait, who went home on the wheel?
Yeah, I think your mic's.
Hey, how about that? Okay, good. Dina went out on the wheel, Sarah. It was very sad. She got wheeled out. The international.
Wait, that was it.
No, wait. No, sorry.
Dina went to final 5 in international. Jonathan went out in the wheel between Renzo and Alex in a 12-12 split where it wasn't broken.
That's right.
And
that's right.
The thing about splits that big are they can retie. They can often retie with people flipping. So, you can often get a 6-6 vote where 2 people flipped on either side. And it's really hard to play around, the ties being that big. And the thing was that you're right. In that next round, only 4 people had votes remaining, and they could have just voted Alex out again. But the thing about the second round that really is different is the first round is always going to be I don't want to say always, because you can always play your game. You always got a shot. But in the first round, if you've been up there, if you've been the second or third name, that's going to be the name people are throwing out in the first round. And then the second round, there might be a threat who hasn't been targeted. That's what we did in international with Rory, where it's like, okay, there's only 4 of us get to decide if we can find each other. We can do whatever we want. We don't need the group's consensus. And then usually there's a round in the next couple of rounds where all that stuff doesn't matter anyway, like safety chain and everything is kind of thrown up in there.
Yeah. The best play I've seen in this round that I can remember was Karishma in the Survivor Mini, who put War Dog's name out there at the very beginning of round 1 in preparation for him to go round 2. And she pushed everybody to vote round 1 and then was able to get just a handful of people to save their votes and take out a huge threat round 2. If you're able to do that and, push people ahead of time and target a big threat, especially if you're in one of these big minis where you're up against huge targets, it's very valuable, but also, very difficult to do.
Is that what you coached her to do, Louie?
I was trying to remember. So the mini before that, I don't even remember what it was, but somebody had done that and I had brought it up. But I mean, she did it far better than I've ever been able to do.
So she did it really good.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts on the now or later twist?
I would just say it's a really good round to make a move. Especially and it's sort of, someone just said this, but that happened in Winners at War, where it's sort of an expected target who left the first round, and the second round a big name left. I think that was Alex who brought when she went out.
Yeah.
So it's especially that second round. It's really a time that you can take the shot.
All right. Let's move now from the now or later twist on to the safety pass-off twist. And this was where my wife and I went out at the prom mini.
I did my best PR. I gave
it wasn't you. It was Brandon.
That was so
anyway,
funny.
in this twist, devil.
You also got LOS out here.
Well, but the thing is that had Brandon stuck to the plan that we all promised and made, that wouldn't have even been a factor. Someone else
I would have gone home.
I don't think so. Because I think the 4 of us would have gotten it before Nico and before one other person got it. So it wouldn't have been you. Anyway, that's besides the point. The twist itself, it starts off, the wheel is spun with all the players' names on it. And whoever it lands on starts out the chain. And in the traditional iteration, which is what we're going to be discussing, and I suppose we could also discuss the alternating one as well. But in the traditional one, that person who's safe then chooses another person to be safe, and then another person to be safe. The next person chooses the next person, and so on and so forth, until finally one person is not chosen, and they are eliminated unless they have an LOS, in which the second to last person is eliminated, and so on until someone's eliminated. This is where Dakota was last at the prom mini. He had an LOS, and then Mallory and myself were, as Zach is going to say, robbed. If that's what you want to say.
Robbed. Was that the first time an LOS was used during the safety chain?
I don't think so.
In my game, the game that I won, it happened. I ended up losing a really close ally on that.
I got you.
I'm still waiting for the first time that 2 people do it. It's gonna happen.
I know that'll be really happen.
I've LOS 2 people on a drag. I've had LOS, then I had to pick a third person, but that's not.
Didn't you almost get dragged, TR?
That happened in our mini too. Natalie, I believe. I think that sounds right. Natalie.
She you and Angela.
Yeah. She tried to drag Angela, then she tried to drag me, and then she tried to drag someone else, and I didn't even vote for her. So.
Neither did Angela, if I remember. In
fact, I had told her the whole game. I was like, look, I know people are saying your name, but I promise it's not you. It's going to be this person going out. And then what happened? That person went out. And I was like, see, I'm telling you the truth. That person went out. You can trust me. Then I get dragged out after not even having voted for her. You love to see
this.
It.
Is one of my favorite. The safety pass-off round is one of my favorite rounds to watch. And also, I think it's my favorite to play as well because I've never been in danger when playing a safety pass-off round. But I just find it so funny and so chaotic. Because even in the Winners at War game, Sharifa gave it to me. And then Dash was running around like saying, "What happened, Sharifa?" And then he went to Muna, saying, "What happened, Muna?" And it was just like the chaos of it all. And so I literally think that people know who they're gonna get, like who they're gonna pass it off to, like when that round comes. And I don't like, and sometimes like very slim chance. I feel like if you get into the room, you can definitely persuade someone, okay, give it to me. But I don't know a specific strategy other than like, hey, if you're working with this person, then they're going to pass it off to you. So I think it comes down to a connection that you have with people in the game.
I think there's sort of, I played this round differently both times I played it. And the first one, I
gave me safety the first time.
I played it selfishly, and I was in a room. Was it with UTR? Did I completely on that? I was in a room with two other people, and I made a room deal. And for me, but it has to be quick. And it was just like, hey, we get it. It goes here. But what ended up happening is I got it, and I was fine. Like I got it pretty early. But because I made a deal to give it to somebody else, my closest ally at that point, he had no one covering him, and he was second to last. And then he ended up getting LOS out. So I ended up losing a really close ally. And so when I went into Winners at War, pre-gaming came into effect, and our majority alliance was like, we're gonna, no matter what, we give it to each other to secure that we're all safe. And I prioritized that alliance over the other alliances I had developed, which is why Dash was very mad at me for giving it to Jacob. But yeah, it's an interesting round to play because like was a version of it that you can do just purely save yourself, but then you leave your allies vulnerable, or two, you try to protect your allies, but then you end up becoming vulnerable in the process.
Yeah,
I have a question. I have a question because I don't think when I first played this, I don't know if it was Sarah. Do you know if it was in our game?
I don't think I've ever done this twist.
Okay.
It wasn't. Yeah, I've only done it once, and that was
Winners at War.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've watched it. It's fun.
I think there was a point in time where you like they called on you to give your decision, and I don't think people like gave it like immediately when they got it.
So yeah, when they first were doing it, someone said earlier, like the first time they did it, it took like 45 minutes. This used to be a much longer round because they used to be like you had like a couple of minutes to deliberate before they asked you to do it, and now it's just as soon as you know, you can tell the moderator.
Yeah.
Pass that
And
off.
so like which one would y'all, because I think if I was in that position, I would just want to like if I get it, give the name immediately so I would not have to like go around to different people, like even promise different people different things. So like immediately when I get it, I would think I would just like say it immediately.
Well, now coming from the prompt perspective of I got out, I thought, and now I didn't. Looking back, we didn't get around enough. Had it been a much longer round, I may have gotten around enough and might have been able to pull it in my favor.
Yeah, when. Like, I had two very different experiences, both in kind of the last week playing this twist. In the first one, someone in my room got it, and what was interesting was that previous round, right before I got it, I had known that there was a very high chance that everyone in my room had just voted for me. And then we were all, like, doing a room deal. So what I did was I demanded to get the safety first. Like I was like, oh, if we're making a room deal, like all of you have to pick me second because I heard my name when I was coming in this room if like we all want to be good. And I think the thing with that round in general is basically if you're already in a good spot, it's a great time to solidify your alliances because after a couple of minutes you don't have to worry about things anymore. It's a great time for you to do work while everyone else is panicking, and your allyship is worth $1 million to them because they still need the safety and they want your help. And so I feel like it's a really great round that if you're, if you have close allies and you get the safety early, it's not really about the round anymore. You just get recess for 10 minutes, and that's so valuable.
Yeah, I think that's what I love. I mean, as a viewer of it, I liked when it took longer because I felt like you really did get to see in this round more than any other round the actual inner workings of what was going on and who's bonded with who and what the long-term strategy is. I mean, in my case, the one time I played, I probably would have been in trouble. I just randomly got into the room at the right time with Muna and just started yelling. I just started yelling like she was going to give it to me.
When it's quicker now, it just like rushes through what could be some of the best moments of the game. Like I remember before when they used to be longer, that's where some of the best fights were happening. Were in the safety pass-off round. That's where some of the best like bonding was happening between players because you don't really get too much time to like, as Charlie said, take like a recess and bond with people. So if you like are at the beginning of that chain and you get that whole long round to strategize and network, like it's invaluable. It is such like a valuable round. Like
I would argue. Sorry, Sharifa, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you bring up a really good point because I remember that what happened. You were in the room with Muna, and she had just gotten it, and we had a deal. Like she was supposed, like that was already it. And I came into the room, and what ended up happening is Muna agreed to give it to you if you agreed to give it to me, and that was probably the only way that you were gonna get it in that like first 6 chunk. Because it was going to go to our whole alliance.
Yeah, because it was already promised out past you was the problem. So it was already 2 links out. So if it could be too little, too late. The other thing about that I would say is that also from the other side, be careful how many people you promise, because you could like I had that situation where it was like, okay, starting room, we're all going to separate. If one of us gets it, we give it to someone else. I was put in a position where I couldn't possibly do that, or I wasn't going to get it, right? Like I think I was supposed to give it to Puya, but there was no way I could give it to Puya, because if I gave it to Puya, Sharifa's sitting right next to me and would hate me and I'd be next out. So you also have to be careful how you play it in terms of who you're giving it to and what you promise to who.
Well, yeah, we saw in the Survivor Mini, that was there. The safety pass-off round had an amazing round between, it was John Carroll and Kelly Wentworth, right? Where like,
so good.
It was like promised, like she promised him they would be fine or something, and then he had to choose, or she had to choose between him and someone else.
It was her and Abby, I think it was.
Right, and then it was just him pleading with her. And I think that was actually one of the longer pass-off rounds, maybe, because I think that there was time for him to like guilt her and beg her and plead with her, and it was like such like a tense round to watch. I don't know.
Well, it's the players who make it quick. It's not necessarily. It's like it's on them in deciding how quickly they want to get it out, and like there's a lot of different strategies to go about it, like wanting to limit time so that you don't end up screwing people over. But something I want to talk about, and it's sort of like a larger strategy to utilize in the entire game, and I've been on my like soapbox about this in my TED Talk, but this is a really great round to implement it. If you do have that safety early, I highly advise finding an empty room, staying in there. People bounce around this round like crazy because they're looking for the person with safety. And I like to sort of like set up my little web so I can make like a personal connection. This is a really great round to be able to do that. And also, I think a lot of people are scared of staying in rooms by themselves because we're taught like no, and you go off and you talk to as many people as possible. But something that's very rare that you don't get the opportunity to do in Sequester often is to make a one-on-one connection. And that's often times where you can get the most, you can strengthen the most loyalty. And so if you know you're safe, and this is for other rounds, like if you know you're not vulnerable, like if there's a bunch of other people up there and you don't really have a horse in the race, don't be afraid to stay in a room by yourself. Wait a minute for someone to come in, because that could be the difference between you making it to the end because someone feels a lot of loyalty with you and not.
I think that's so key, even apart from this twist. But like, I take that strategy that you just said, Sharifa, to the beginning of the game. And we're like, if you don't hear your name going out, or like you're not a target at all, like go around and form those personal connections. Because honestly, that's how I made it to how I made it in like the 3 games that I played. So I really think that is key. And also like take advantage of like when someone told me this, I think it was pre-gaming with Winners at War, I'm not sure, but they were like, when you exit a room, go back, like go immediately back to that room or something like that. Was it you, Sharifa? May have been, I don't know. But someone said that to me, and I was like, wow, that's so good, because either you're gonna hear something that the person that left you didn't want you to hear, or you're just gonna, like Sharifa said, stay in that room so other people can come and join you. So I think that's a really good strategy.
We got another great instance in the Survivor Mini of that with, I believe it was Bryce and Karishma.
Yes,
right?
Also, king of doing this, shout out to the international mini, was Marcelo. It's something he did in his first game of Sequester, managing to figure that out. Meanwhile, in my first 3 games of Sequester, I was like, how do I change rooms? So like, shout out to Marcelo, who's just an incredible strategist.
God, there was a moment in the international mini. It was PM. He was like, he got caught with Marcelo's name in his mouth, and then Marcelo scared, so then he started going after someone else in the room.
It was Ivan. He started going after Ivan, and then Marcelo left again, and then he threw out Marcelo again.
And then Marcelo came back. Oh, it was so iconic. Oh, so great.
What a king.
And I think a phrase in this round, I mean, it's like a famous phrase at this point, but just saying, "Oh, I already promised this person in my room," and I've seen people do that, and they weren't even in the same room together. And so I think that's like a good thing to just like have. But don't say it to someone that was actually in the room. You know what I mean, with you. But I think, I was already in the room with that. I think that's just a perfect excuse.
I think that's a good way to illustrate loyalty to other people. That like, look, if I make a deal with you later on, I'll probably honor it, even if you are totally pulling it out of thin air. Like
1,000%.
That's what that happened in the International Mini as well, and this was really smart. In that same room where it was PM, maybe Alex or Dan, and Neve, and I was like, I want safety first because I thought the third person might just give it to someone else because I had just gotten a bunch of votes. And Neve was so smart. He said, "Okay, no, Charlie, I want you to know that we're good. Give it to me last." And then he said, afterwards, once he got it, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I just wanted it last because I already promised it in the last round to Marcelo," which was a total lie. But to him, he was able to go to Marcelo and say, like, "Look, I swung safety and I gave it to you. Have my back. Like, I gave it to you in spades already last round before we even talked. So that's how good we know that we are." And that's another thing you can do. If you're the person who actually gets to pick and you've managed to promise nobody, it's a huge olive branch to even someone you don't even have to have talked to them. You know, people are usually willing to work with you unless there's some random dumb reason, you know?
That was something I wish I had done in my first game, was asked to be the last person who got it, because then I would have been able to save that person who left. It's risky, but like that way you're open to actually save your allies.
So you think it's worth? You think it's worth the risk for that one, Sharifa?
I think it's how comfortable you feel, and also like where your skills are. Like, I tend to be a decent social player, so I can like, you know, navigate that. And this is a round where social players tend to do well, at least in terms of their own safety. So I feel confident that I would have gotten it, and I would have been able to pass it off to the person I wanted to, which was Khalid. But yeah, I mean, it's a risk. You really have to like go with your gut instinct on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think, and I mean, I guess this is a position we're giving strategy, but we can also brainstorm, and this isn't something that I think has been implemented, but something I've thought about. Do we think there's any value if you do get safety early to trying to slow someone down? Like the potential person that you want to leave. The only reason I think of this was because in Winners at War, it was down to like 3 people, and I had Kim Matina alone in a room. And I tried to have a conversation with her, and she like, "I can't talk to you," and left. And I was like, oh, she probably thought like I was trying to stall her. And it put in my mind like, maybe you could actually stall someone and cause them to be eliminated if you get them in the right position. So it's a question of, you know, like you said, Sharifa.
It's a dastardly move, but that definitely could work, I think.
Yeah, like either you make bonds or you try to target someone and slow them down in some way, but you know, make yourself useful in some way if you're safe early.
Mm-hmm. Which that's like, I think that's a lot of rounds though. Where like I've definitely held conversations with people if I know their name's going around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they can't flip it back.
Well, we've seen really big players leave this round. I mean, not to bring up old wounds, but Tiara Mallory left this round. Kim Matina left this round at Winners at War, which is wild. Like, you know,
Eva went out on this round once. You know, you will.
I remember that.
Iconic people. Not to say that I'm iconic necessarily. I'll
do it for you.
Any other final thoughts for the safety pass-off twist? Okay, so let's move on to the highest even number votes twist. This is one that I feel like sometimes happens on its own, but usually gets whipped out in association with like a button, right? Right, that and like the second highest votes. Those are a popular button twist. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory in terms of how the twist goes. Person with the highest even number of votes go. So if someone has 7 votes and someone has 4 votes, and that's the highest even number of votes, the person with 4 votes is going to go home, not the person with 7. So let's get into this one. I thankfully have never gone home on this round. Whew.
And sometimes a drag is attached to this round. Not all the time, but sometimes the drag will be attached.
If Audrey really wants to shake it up,
spice things up. I always wasn't a strong believer in this, but in this round specifically, if you have an LOS, in my opinion, just on personal things with this round, I say play it. Because in the Winners at War 1, I played my LOS and it was played successfully. And it was going to be a tie with me and Emily up. And I played it just off of the sheer fact that I don't know what like. I mean, I thought I knew, but like this run is so sketchy to me. And like if people just want to throw rogue votes, they'll throw it, and then 2 may land on you. And so it was 2 votes me and then 2 votes Emily. And that's the round that Emily got out. And so it would have been a tie. I think I would have stayed. I don't know, but I just didn't even want that risk. And so like if you have protection or an insurance policy that you can throw out there, and I think in this round dealing with this twist I think it's most effective for you to use it.
And the thing that you want to do here, and it's if you're able to do it, and that's the difficulty of it, is getting together a solid 4 that you trust. And like the trick is, and this is where a lot of like kinky things have happened, like Jacob getting votes when it's like it's Jacob, is you want to make sure it's someone that no one else is going to put their votes on. And what was really interesting about that international mini, we keep using it, but I think it's just a really great display of strategy, that entire game. But this round, and Charlie, you can speak better to it, 2 separate rooms, and correct me if this is not the right round, but 2 separate rooms. It was like lots of 4, and they're like, listen, we are going to vote this person who we know is not going to get any other votes. It's this 4. We don't tell anybody. We don't spread it. We lock it down. And both rooms did that. And the vote ended, it was the 2 names. Wait, am I getting this mixed up?
They did it yesterday. They did it on this. They did it Saturday. I know Angelica led that charge for this round Saturday.
Our big tie one in international was the Now or Later first round.
I'm thinking, I'm getting confused with prom.
Prom.
Or I'm pretty sure it was prom.
It could have. Oh. Wait, it was.
Is this where Aaron went? Or no?
No, Aaron went in the first half of Now or Later.
Yeah, Now or Later.
I don't know. I was out. I wasn't watching.
What's dangerous, however, is that if you are someone who hasn't been targeted, there is a really good chance that people might like Jacob, which is, I didn't even know that, but it doesn't surprise me, but it does because like you have such a lock on your ability to socially maneuver these games. Is that like you were vulnerable here, and it's because people, and I potentially could be vulnerable here. This is where people are trying to bring up names that haven't been mentioned before to avoid getting votes on it. And I'm starting to wonder if that strategy has spread so far and wide. Maybe you do go after someone whose name is brought up with the thought behind that people are going to misplace their votes here.
Yeah. Or what else I think is really hard is I think a lot of times the group of 4 is from when you first start the round. You know what I mean? Those are most likely not your closest allies in the game. You know what I mean? It's so likely that one of those people is going to flip and then you have 3 on a person. You know what I mean? Which is why people always 2 sends people home so often. You know, because even a 4 can be hard.
Yeah, so that's why I started so I mean, try to make as sure as you possibly can with that 4. Like, let them agree on a name that they all feel comfortable with so that nobody has second thoughts. My plan after that is just create as many 2s as you possibly can. Like, just run around and say, you 2 vote, and try to get as many 2s just in case 2 fall on you. At the very least, you have a tie of maybe 2 or 3 people. Hope that the 4 that you initially set up lasts and have backup 2s if you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed the same thing happen in this round every time, and in at least 2 of the 4 that start in rooms, at least 2 of the foursomes. Here's exactly what happens: the round starts, and I'm talking to Sarah. I'm like, Sarah, okay, we need 4. The 4 of us, we need to actually, if we all do this at this point, then it will be 1 person. So the 4 of us need to vote as a 4. By the way, which name do you guys want to do? And then someone tries to come in the room. And you never said a name, but these 4 said they were going to vote as a person, or they said a name for a second. They're like, "Okay, let's vote for Louie," but like no one had a chance to respond, so no one knows. Like, did that count? Like, did we agree to that? And then you're broken up, and now you're like, okay, shit. Like, now I need to go make a bunch of 2s, or will this 4 count? So you can be but Louie's totally right. You don't necessarily want to be the person to like throw out the first name because then you get locked out and then you're stuck as being the person who threw out that name and you don't know what those 3 people are going to go say. So it's like this round can be really tough. But I agree with Louie. My focus in this round is if my name hasn't been brought up in a previous round, I just want 2s so I don't get randomly knocked out by, LOS plus 2 vote or a random 2 vote. People really do be going home on 2 votes in this round.
They really do.
Yeah, heroes versus villains. Oop.
Yeah.
Has there ever been an odd on the even round, like where everyone's odd?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I've
don't
never
think
seen that.
mathematically, I don't
Well, like
know.
5
if
and 5 is 10. Like odd numbers add to even. I don't know why that was my example. But like we sent Bridget home on Heroes versus Villains with 2 votes, so there wasn't even another 2. Wasn't a tie or anything. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's happened. What's everyone's thought? And please, no one ever take my advice on this because I would never do it. But some people feel that it's worth doing self-voting.
I'll never do it.
Never.
Nope.
Never.
I would never go
Too
home.
rich for my blood. I can't do it. Yeah.
I would rather go home and say, oh man, I could have self-voted than go home because I self-voted.
I voted.
Well, that's what happened at the who left on the even round was Rayanne, and that's what happened. She put a vote on herself because she heard her name was going around, and that ended up being the vote that made it even, and she ended up going home.
Yeah, that was 2-1-1.
Not to put her on blast. I love you, Rayanne.
I feel like we hear about it going wrong more than we hear about it going right.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know voting for yourself can be the difference in the game. I've always been too nervous to do it because you never know where people's heads are at. And, the truth of the matter is, as good of a player as you are, this game has such a factor of luck. I mean, the eventual winner of Winners at War could have potentially left, luck is a factor. And when you put your vote on yourself, I feel like you're sort of tempting luck to not go your way.
Yeah.
So
and your vote has power, so why not use your vote to at least push a tie with someone else? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was this the round that JC left in the international?
He was
remember?
In the international, no.
It was the drag round.
It was the final 10, final 11 round, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, I know in my first game, I almost got dragged. Not in my first game, the second game that I won, I almost got dragged. Well, I did get dragged by LOS this round. And it was just basically because I threw my vote away and just threw it on someone who I really didn't care for, and then someone else threw it on that same person. And so the throwing away votes, is that actually a good mindset for I'm just gonna just throw it away? You know what I mean? I don't know if that's necessarily a good mindset for this round because they may get out, and if the votes are revealed, then you may get dragged. And so I just never really know unless you have an odd number, but I don't really know about the just throwing your votes away one.
It's tough. I mean, I think you can try and be that person. Sometimes the room limit has been 5, and the conversation has been, okay, 4 of us need to do it, and 1 of us needs to get a 2 just to make sure none of us go out on the 2. But yeah, I like this one has been associated with the drag, and I think drags can be so random and hard that I think personally for me, I just try and play the numbers game and then hope I don't have a reason to be dragged by this person. And I feel like don't write down people's names of people who you think might drag you out of everyone. If you'd be their top 1 or 2 people, just don't vote for them. Don't give them an extra reason.
Fun fact, I voted for Jacob on the drag round. Because that's why I threw my vote. I was like, I don't think anyone else is going to place their votes on Jacob. I almost said it with Susie, but I knew I wanted to vote for Susie in the no one's voted.
In the history cannot repeat itself.
Which, speaking of, we can move on to that one. Let's move on to the history cannot repeat itself round. This is
I hate this round, and I love this round.
Sharifa, you strategized this round pre-game really good. And so
I've almost gone home on this round multiple times. It is not a fun one.
Well, this is where your social players, your floaters, and I mean that in the most positive aspect. Floating is such a valid way to play the game. It's different from coasting. I can't believe I still have to say that. But this is where your social players, your floaters, your coasters, This is when they're vulnerable. And for me, it's a scary round because I tend to be vulnerable in this round. But what I also like about it is if you can be out here and get the name that you want out here, this is your opportunity to take out a social threat or a floater. Because a lot of people, it's hard to coordinate votes. But if you have someone who's been really likable, who's been able to like sort of skate by and hasn't really ever been in the hot seat, no one has put their vote on that person. Like the people that I got to vote Susie this round, most of them didn't want to vote Susie, but we just couldn't agree on another name. And I knew that was going to happen. So, the only other name they could have agreed on was mine. And that I wasn't about to let that happen. So this is a really great round that you can target a social threat. And I encourage people to do so because it's harder to do that in any other round.
1000%.
In the international mini, like I had a very different experience from prom because, and those are the 2 times I've played this round, maybe more. It's been a long time, but so in the international mini, I had been on the chopping block rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, and so I knew going into this round, I'm like, oh, I get to make a move. Like half the other people can't vote for me. Like so, like it's a nice break. And then I also had it in prom where I said, we had to do this one twice. I had to play this one twice. And going into both of them, I don't think any person had voted for me, maybe one person. So I was like, oh my God, like this is the most stressful round. So like, I think if you're trying to play that social game, trying to play that, and I hate under the radar, I think we just decided that's a phrase and we say it for everything. But if you're a player who is not maybe flashy, yeah, and you have an LOS, this can be that round because it's
1000%.
also tough to get around.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm having issues hearing you. Did you mean a under the radar player?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Cool. I wanted to make sure I was making that.
Yeah. No, you got it. I know what they are. I've heard of them.
I've heard of them, but Susie knew. Talking to Susie pregame, she knew that this was going to be the round that she would get taken out of. Taken out on. And so I think like for the under the radar players, this is. I mean, even for me, like this was a very scary round. But I kind of got that scare with the even or odds. But I didn't know how many votes I had that round. But and so this is a very anxiety filled round for me.
Well, same. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I was like, no, I am going to take charge. I'm going to make sure that there's a target out here so that it's not me. Because if people realize that I am someone they can vote this round, then I'm going to be in hot water. So let me give them another option before they can even think about my name. So for like social players, if you're in this round, make sure you're getting a name out there. Make sure you're targeting another social player, another floater. Also, under the radar, like, is not a curse word. There's a difference between, I'm going to say this again, a difference between under the radar and coaster. Like, that's specifically a game you're playing the game. No one just can visibly see it. Yeah. So, like, I get your trepidation. And when you use that, Charlie, I use it as a positive thing. There's a difference between that and just being a coaster and not doing anything.
No, totally. And I was just avoiding it because I think personally, especially with like watching other shows too, I think that the way that we perceive certain people as under the radar, I don't like it. So I just try and take it out of my vocabulary and use more I don't want to say articulate, but just more like, because like sometimes I'm like, oh, that person played, like Michelle Fitzgerald played great. She played, and then people are just saying under the radar. It's just
they just don't get the same respect.
I feel like it's just exactly. Like,
player,
That's how I feel about the term floater. Like, because I said that for myself the first game I won. Like, I was honest with the jury. I said, hey, listen, like, I floated the first half of this game. And it made it sound like I was saying, like, oh, I didn't do anything. I was like, no, like, I put in work. Like, I was socially maneuvering myself between a bunch of alliances to make sure that I was always safe. And that's not an easy thing to do. But it, like, translated because I was being transparent with my language that I was saying, oh, I didn't do anything the first half. I was like, no, we just don't respect certain terminology when it comes to gameplay. And floating is one of them. I hate that floating has a negative what word am I saying?
Connotation.
Thank you.
And I also think that like this reminds me on why it's so important to know the game of Sequester and to know the different twists, because I think kind of when I play like a regular, just like Friday, if it doesn't have like a special theme like I got scared.
That was really scary.
I got scared.
And they were
but if it like on the game that the second game that I played with Sarah, I didn't really think of any twists before going into the game. And so when this round came up, in my mind, like I think in my group, Sarah was going to be voted for. But then we were trying to get out the entire like game, and so we couldn't. And so I was
really such a brat that round. They were like, oh, we could vote. And I'm like, no, you can't. None of you can vote for me. I am invincible right now.
You were so happy. You were like, I am queen. Like you cannot. It was the first time we got to see you feel safe.
I have no power. I have no power though, because like me and Frankie, you know what I mean. Frankie was going home then, not me. You know what I mean? We had no power.
Yeah, I just thought that was super funny. But yeah, I think that's back to my point. This is why it's so important to even like watch this specific episode of Podquester with other ones as well. But I just think like knowing the game of Sequester, you know how to maneuver before you even get into the game. You know things you can do to set yourself up for a successful game in the end. What things you do in the beginning. And so specifically dealing with this round, how Sharifa kind of wrote my name down on the even or odd or whatever round that you did. Just so I don't know, you couldn't write it down right here. And so
but I did that with the intention of not wanting you to leave, and because I did not want to target you at that round. Gotcha. But I just needed to like throw my vote, and I did not feel comfortable putting it on my name, and I recognized how strong of a social player you were and thought no one else would put their vote on you, which I don't think they did that round.
Yeah. And so awesome.
So that's something that I implemented in the last game, and I guess I've done it before. Yeah, I have. I did it in
You or Lou?
Well,
which one?
And I did it at Winners at War.
Gotcha.
I try to stick with the same name if they continue on in the game. Just to have, I don't like loose ends. I don't like collateral damage or people thinking I'm targeting them. I would rather target one person nonstop until they go out before I move on to someone else, just so that there's not multiple people thinking I'm targeting them. I come to this twist in a little different of a view just because there are usually people who have already voted for me. So I'm not usually one of the people who, there's usually at least a few people who can't vote for me. So my plan is always, be aware of who likely has not received any votes and be as quick as possible when the round starts to put that name out there. If you're in a room of 3 people and you can deduce who they haven't voted for quickly, you throw that name out there immediately and get them all to agree to it, because they are likely just as scared as you are that people are going to start targeting them. So if you can get them to agree on a name immediately and nobody has to say, oh, I already voted for them, you should be golden going out. The other thing that I've started to do was, if somebody knows you voted for them already and are upset by that, like if you let them know that history can't repeat is coming up and being like, hey, I'm sorry I voted for you. It was the last round. I had to do it, but just no, I'm not going to be able to vote for you in that round. I'm not going to continue to target you. It softens that blow a little bit. Yeah.
Nice.
I know that's not exclusive to this round. I would love to just sort of talk about that strategy too, because it's not specific to any round. But like Sequester, make sure you always have the ability to be a bridge mender. Like if you're gonna burn a bridge, know how to build one back up. And just to tail off what Louie is saying, and I think that this is a really great round to repair bridges.
I totally agree. No, that was all say.
Well, Louie, I feel like with that same approach, I'm trying to get into the other person's mind of what they can be thinking. They're either going to be thinking, okay, I get it. Very logical, like, okay, I can see, and we can definitely like move on from this. Or they can think like, okay, I must be expendable to you because I don't think you would put that like vote on your number 1 person or anything like that.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So that's just the way that I would personally take it.
I agree. I think it's more so if you're confronted. If somebody confronts you, is like, hey, I've heard you've been saying my name. I heard you're trying to get me out.
Okay.
And if you want to deflect, I would just say, whatever it was, like, I had to, your name was out there, blah, blah, blah. But no, I'm not going to be voting for you anymore. And also, history can't repeat is coming up and I won't be able to vote for you in that round.
No.
And if you're nervous that it's going to get back to that person that you went after them, like what I went after, what is his name? Oh, I feel so bad. He's so lovely. And Winners at War, he was the first person to get the safety chain. AJ. I went after AJ in a pre-jury round and he didn't leave. And I was so vocal about it. And I'm like, I know it's going to get back to him. And he's working with all of my allies. So I'm like, all right. I got him in a room and I was like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. And I wanted to have that opportunity because I knew it was going to get back to him, that I was pushing him. And I used it as a moment to build a bridge with him. Like, hey, this is why I was coming after you. I was wrong. I do want to work with you. I'm sorry for that. I'm in this with you. And we ended up being very tight after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Charlie. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm so done. You go ahead.
Yeah, I also think if you're safe this round, something that can be a really unique thing to do and like I think can be pretty smart is hinky voting. I know you wouldn't normally think of hinky voting in this round just because like you're trying to get as many people on one person, but if you think you're safe regardless, and someone plays an LOS, maybe the one or two people who could vote for you if your name has been out there in that scenario will. Or also you can get in weird situations too, because an important thing to remember about this round is that the rules carry over into a tie. And so if the vote ties, the people can now not vote for the person that they voted for, and they have to vote for
I did not know that.
Yeah, in the international mini, this is the round they tried to target Marcelo because of the targets. He had been the one that people hadn't really voted for yet. And I threw my vote on Khalid because I wanted Kim, you would not believe the internet situation I'm in. I don't have a choice. I'm trying to keep it in the zone, okay?
What?
It looks really good.
Charlie.
It's like I'm in the mountains right now. It's a whole thing. We'll talk about it a different day.
Humble brag.
Yeah. But anyway. But yeah, you can't vote for the other person on a tie. So voting for someone that you kind of even like, but that's not you, can be good, so that if it ties, it'll go to the other person.
Any final thoughts on the history can't repeat itself twist? Okay, well.
The only other thing I was going to say, it's not necessarily about this round, but just in general, trying to push people away from talking about the past at all. Like if I'm in a room and anybody's talking about the last round, I try to get them to drop it. I'm just like, look, it's over. There's no point talking about it. We don't have enough time to discuss it anymore. Let's move on. Like, if you voted for me last round, I don't care. Just don't do it again. If I voted for you last round, get over it. I won't do it again. And let's figure out the next round.
Debbie got jokes.
Yeah, everyone's got jokes. Okay. You know what? It's a weird situation.
Also a good round where you need to be self-aware of the game you've been playing and just going for it.
Yeah, which I think that's just what makes a good Sequester player in general, to be honest, is having a level of self-awareness. Like when you were a while ago when we were talking about one-on-ones, I don't get that luxury most games to sit in a room and have one-on-ones. You know what I mean? Because if your name's being talked about, you need to be bouncing around rooms. You don't get to just sit around and just wait for someone to come to you. You know what I mean? I feel like just self-awareness in general in Sequester is so valuable.
Well, there's also such a different way. I mean, here, we're talking about all these different strategies. The truth of it, the first game I won, I had no idea what Sequester even was. And I was just adapting to every single moment. I wasn't using half these strategies.
Yeah.
And I won that game. And so,
You're an icon, Sharifa. Not everyone is as iconic as you.
Be self-aware of your icon status.
Yeah, you have to be self-aware. Hold on. You have to be self-aware that not everyone is as iconic as you, and that's just the way it is,
I'm just saying that, each person, thank you all, that's very sweet. But I just mean each person has, fall into your unique game style. And what the strategies that we're talking about isn't going to work for every single person. But, finding what works for you is going to be the best thing, and always trusting your gut.
Yeah, there is no one. We've been saying, on Facebook and Discord and down here now, but there is no one way to play this game. Everyone's different, and considering how fucking random every single game of Sequester is, with all the twists and all the variables and all of the different factors in people's internet and LOSs and cheating scandals, and there's always shit going on. You don't know, so there's so many variables. There's no one way to play it. So take everything we're saying with a grain of salt and apply what you think, what would work best for the type of gameplay that you would want to see,
Yeah.
Precisely.
Let's go ahead and move on then to let's do because one of our very own here had a hand in radically changing some of the rules of this twist. The echo chamber twist, the Wallace of Ears twist. In this round, snippets of conversations between players, little sound bites, are played throughout all the rooms. So if Sharifa and I are here, we're talking shit about Charlie. You might start to hear that. Charlie might hear that in the other room with Jacob, Sarah, Louie, and my ass is grasped.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut here because this was the round I left in because a certain ally didn't vote how I told them to vote. So.
I think in my best game got eliminated in this round. This round stinks. And you know what? Here's what else about this round that's important to know is that the old way it worked was actually just broken, especially with the room limit of 4. You could not beat 4 people signing in a room initially, without, special powers. And it was just boring to watch. It was, and it's a tough round to do your thing. And I guess the way you try and counter that strategy is what several people have tried to do, which is scream your message into all of the rooms. I think we can talk though about going forward with no writing, what the strategy will be. Yes, Marcelo, you did. Yes, but that's okay, Marcelo. And that's an important point. That's an important point is the thing that you have to remember too is, and this is something that Kim Mattina says, you can't just expect everyone to behave rationally. If you're trying to spread your message in this round and you can't justify it because you can't say it, that's going to be a tough situation for you, Yeah.
I've thought about this round a lot as I've lied awake at night thinking about my second winner's title that I almost had.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sharifa, but I actually fucking love that idea. If you could do impressions of people and if you can sit in a room and throw your voice and I'm going to do my Louie impression and say that I'm targeting Sharifa and then Sharifa thinks it's Louie. That would be brilliant. Sorry.
Yeah, completely. Well, no, I've thought about this round a lot because what happened to me in this round is I was fine. I was doing great. If I got past that round, I was I had a game plan. I was good to go. And then literally the last 30 seconds, Amon comes over the speakers talking about targeting me. It was Amon initially. It was Amon's voice that we heard in the echo chamber.
Yeah,
I think they're in reference to doing the impressions of people.
Got you. And and he says it, and then they have 15 seconds to talk, and then boom, round over. And what happened? Yes, Cameron was making an A symbol, but Moon and I did not catch that. And if I we didn't have the time to say the vote is on Puya. And the reason I needed to keep the vote on Puya is 1, I wanted to keep a larger target in Amon because my plan was to go after him the next round. And 2, I thought that a certain little future winner, because I had communicated with him that we were voting Puya, I did not have the ability to communicate that with him then. And so that we would change the vote to Amon. And if this is around, and this is why I talk so much about luck in Sequester. Sometimes luck is just not your way. And if I just had that extra 10 seconds to be we're voting Puya, it would have ended very differently for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Echo Chamber, what I've sort of like fell on, and everyone else let me know. Louie, I know that strategy you implemented was great. I've sort of like decided, because of how I got out, and I don't mean to be like conceited, I'm not an easy player to take out. And if how I got out on this round was Amon being so vocal about targeting me and using the echo chamber to echo that out to other rooms, I am now sort of on the strategy of like, you know what, let your target know that you're coming after them and use this as an opportunity to let everybody else know you're coming after them too. It's risky, but like we saw in Amon's case, it worked out and he took out me and I was going to come after him the next round. So like, that's where I sort of fallen on with echo chambers. Actually played a bit more ballsy than a lot of these other rounds we're talking about.
Yeah, I think if you can arrange it, I mean, it's always done with 7 people. So you know you only need 4 votes. If you know you have an ally who's rock solid, at least 1. If you can wait till late in the round and you know the time is running out and you're not going to get back to the other round, you can find the way to communicate that message to other people that probably won't see that person again for that plan to switch. Yeah. I think it is valuable. That's always been my plan. I was going to do it on Friday, but it was 7 Deadly Sins instead. But like, I really do think it can be very valuable to just tell other rooms exactly what you're doing. And I mean, this is kind of a different point, but I'll say it. I think some of the reason I've done well in Sequester, and this isn't how I am every day, but is just talking over people. Like, I just don't allow other people to talk. I talk as loud and as quickly as I possibly can, and just don't let anyone else get a point out. Like, that is my whole approach from basically Final 6 on, is to just do all of the talking. And if you shut other people out and don't let them get their point across, people are going to side with you because they don't know any other option. And I think that that's a way you can do it in this round, and it's a way you can do it moving forward for the rest of the game.
Charming.
That is something I
noticed.
noticed.
I normally do it.
No, that is something I noticed with you, Louie, because even when I went back, I saw a clip from Winners at War, and it didn't go like how you planned on it going. But it was when it was Amon. And this is a legendary moment that I look back on and I laugh and I wish I was in that room. But it was Amon, Muna, Sharifa, and you. And then you threw out the name, and then you was like, okay, let's go spread it, let's go spread it. And then you left. And then they stayed, and then literally they were like, no, we're not doing that. And so, but I get what you're saying in that round. But in that case, it didn't work for you. But I just thought that was so funny.
Oh my God. Okay, side strategy. No, I use the let's go spread it. As a way of you go spread it, and then I'm gonna talk about what I actually want to do. And I kept saying that to you, Louie. I'm like, let's go spread it, and then I pretended like I was gonna go.
No, you really were.
I was the only one.
I loved whipping that out where you're like, all right, yeah, let's go, and then you stall to see if you can get alone with the people that you actually want to talk to.
I even look like I'm clicking
Where's the room page?
I'm just like,
yeah. We'll go. I'll be 2 in a second. You go you first, though.
Louie was in a different position where he was coming into a room with 3 people who were aligned and targeting another person in their alliance. And it was just like, I think in other situations that strategy would have worked. I think that was a unique situation.
It was a unique situation because I also had 3 people in another alliance who were voting for me every round. So I really didn't have much choice.
It was a valiant effort. I thought
that was the funniest clip because Louie was so excited for this move too. He was like, "Let's go spread it. All right, we're doing it. All right, let's go spread it. All right, bye." And just to look back at all 3 of y'all. So funny.
Yeah, that's my favorite moment from Winners at War, actually.
I don't have I mean, because I remember me and Sharifa were in a room in this round. I remember us talking, and I think you said Puya. Yeah, you said Puya.
I was drilling it with you because you were so apprehensive.
I was like, I think I was pushing Mary
MP
because she said my name over the loudspeaker. So I was trying to push her, and I ended up voting for her. But that is right. If I would have,
whose vote did you think you had, Jacob? Who else did you
No, listen, I went to Puya right after, and I was like, hey, vote Mary Payne, blah, blah, blah. But you're right. If I would have voted for Puya, you would have been sitting pretty.
I make fun of you all the time, but that you can't change anything you did in Winners at War because you won it. Yeah. And I can be petty and bitter because I feel really confident if I made it past that round that I was going to be endgame. So but no, like you did everything you needed to do because you won the whole damn thing. So I make fun of you, but no, it's
a funny situation. Because I do remember you drilling it in me because I was like, no, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, yes.
Yeah, she tried. She gave a valiant effort.
That's funny. But wait, I've never, and I think this was Louie was talking about. I've never seen. I just don't pay attention this round. But I've never seen. Do people actually write things on paper and then hold it up to the screen?
So the first time I ever saw it was on Saturday.
Okay, and they were doing that.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. We talked about that strategy on Podquester. We were like, can you write the name and show it to people? And then the next game that happened, or the next weekend that happened.
But I do feel like that takes the fun out. I would rather see in Johnny's mini that he won, before Winners of War. That was a really excellent example of it was so chaotic because it was so full of people would be saying one thing and then gesturing and doing the opposite. So they'd be like, yeah, we're voting this way. We're definitely voting this way. And they would be it was so much of that where you would hear stuff, but it didn't really you know what I mean? It was kind of cryptic or it was kind of confusing because it wasn't the actual truth that was happening. And then you had multiple people doing it. That was a very interesting round.
And not vocalizing that when Cameron didn't vocalize Amon and she just used this. All she had to say was Amon, and we and then boom, we're set. I think people are really scared to talk in that round, and this usually happens towards the end. Be bold, mention your targets. You always have the ability to rebuild bridges down the road when you need to. In my belief,
I like that. Yeah,
I've never played this twist, so. I don't have much to add. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I would really love to know what you have to say about this. I'm dying to know how I could survive the final 11, final 10 drag round. I'm really curious. What are your thoughts?
Have an LOS.
For those of us who can't rely on LOS.
Yeah. I think an important thing about Sequester is the first couple times that I played, in both of those games, there were 4 or 5 opportunities in the game to get dragged. A fourth of the people who were leaving the game were getting dragged. There was a drag round at 17, and then a drag round at 14, and then this one, and then there was another one at 9, and then the final 4 drag. And so to win, you really had to be in a position where most people would not drag you because eventually it would happen, And now it's not like that. There's usually one drag round. There's usually that second round where people can put you up for elimination. I think there's 2 ways, maybe 3 ways that someone gets dragged in Sequester. Way number 1 is that you're boring. This is a round that punishes you for being boring. The more people that watch Sequester, the more people know that it's bad to be a bad sport and they don't want to drag fun people. And so the majority of the time when they're picking based on kind of nothing, it'll be a boring person.
If why does TR get dragged?
I'm not saying always. We saw Brayden get dragged in prom. Sometimes stuff just happens. But I think the important thing also is that the votes are exposed. So don't make a move against your ally or someone's who's gonna have a real problem with you after this round.
But here's the thing, Nadim. It's not that simple, okay? Because in Heroes versus Villains, I was so certain it was going to be either Frankie or Brayden going, and I threw my vote on Morgan because I knew that either one of them, Frankie said he would drag anyone that votes for him, that had talked to him. And then I had been working with Brayden up until that point, so I wasn't going to vote for him. So I threw my vote on Morgan because I was like, I don't think she's going. And then she went, and then I was dragged. So it's not always that simple.
Yeah, this was the round that I voted for you, Jacob. To throw my vote. For me, I think this only is really applicable to social players, to floaters. How I play this round, and I'll probably play it differently in the future, is like a scaredy cat. Truthfully, I just want to make sure that my name isn't spoken out loud by Audrey to the person who gets voted out. That is my number one concern. I do not mind taking a loss here if I need to take a loss in terms of losing an ally, because that is my greatest concern. Because for social players, because you make bonds with so many people, you tend to hurt people when you vote them out. And if they know that you're one of the reasons why, they don't know you have a lot of allies. They think that you're closer to them and they're going to feel betrayed. So for me as a social player, when it comes to this round, my biggest goal is making sure I don't care who leaves, as long as it's not me. And let me make sure my name is not on that list that Audrey's going to read out loud to the evicted person.
Yeah, there's no round that I've obviously lost more sleep over than this one. And I'm still not 100% certain on how to play it. I find that this time, a lot of times this round will result in a tie. I've always thrown my vote just because I feel like I'm easy to drag in most of these situations. So I want to keep my name out of there. But then when you do have a tie, which is the majority of the time, you don't have a choice. You have to put your vote on someone, and you want it to be the right person. Usually what I've come to is, if you can tell the person you're voting for them ahead of time and give them a reason as to why, I think there is value there. Now, it's easier said than done, being able to track them down, but letting them know that, hey, I hate to do this. I made a promise to the other person. I have no choice. Or in this case, which I thought about a lot, if you're in the tie, making a deal with that other person, if you don't drag me, I won't drag you. Just having some sort of discussion with the person that you plan on voting for before you vote for them, to let them know and give them a heads up what you're doing, may cause some forgiveness when it gets to the time of them deciding. And also, if you can be in the same room as them, I also think that's valuable.
I would drag that person every day of the week, I think, for me.
Yeah.
Like if someone says they're voting for me, I think I would threaten to drag them immediately.
Would you actually do it though?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I told you that I had made a promise already to the other
But
person,
if we were in a big room, though, I would never say it, because then, I don't know. I feel like I just threaten. I think my big thing is always like, I'm gonna drag someone who votes for me. I don't know who it is yet, but I'm gonna drag someone who votes for me. I think it's important to like hammer that into people's minds, so then they will throw their vote on someone else.
That's a brilliant strategy, Sarah.
I also think that an important thing is, once you've done something and then not done it, we all have played like a bunch of times. Like it does influence like your kind of ability to be read as, we'll always stick to your word in these kind of situations. If you're like, well, I'm going to vote for the person who votes for me, and then you drag someone boring, well, the next game, if you're playing with all vets, people will remember that. They'll be like, well, maybe they won't. Maybe they don't mean it. So like Sarah's saying, like, yeah, I would, if I told someone I was going to drag them, even if they were like popular or something, I'd probably drag them anyway. Because the next time I want other people in the next drag round, I'm out anyway. I want to help myself in a game down the line if someone was watching.
Yeah.
Your word has to do something. What's
happened in a couple of the bigger recent minis that we've seen, the private minis, two really good players left in this round. That was JC in the international mini, I think. A mini that JC played, he left this round. And I know Nico left in the prom mini. And
he left in this one too, JC, and he dragged the buyback guy, Jonathan.
Yeah. Right, and that's what I was saying. In the international mini, and then Nico left in the prom mini. And what I think sort of happened in those two particular games is they were sort of seen as like the kindest, sweetest people, and their names were never really brought up in that round. People just like threw their votes, and then it tied, and then they threw their votes on them again. And I feel like if you do fall into that category of being someone who is like a softer personality, who is very kind, very sweet, like, don't be afraid to have an edge here, because truly Molly, you're in danger, girl. This is a round where you're going to be vulnerable because of those attributes, because of those qualities, those really great qualities to have as a human. So don't be afraid to like flex some teeth here and like let people know I might be nice, but if I go home, it's going to be hell, and I'll let y'all know.
Yeah, scary people thrive here, aka me. Just kidding. Because in Heroes versus Villains, like I was so sure I was going home that round because my name was the only one being talked about. But then what happened was I went into a room with Brayden and Muna, and Brayden said he was dragging Muna. So then I went into another room and just pushed. I don't know if I pushed a lot of votes on Brayden, but and then I flipped to Morgan. So I was like, my name got read. My name gets read a lot during drag rounds, and I don't know. Maybe that's a self-awareness thing too. Like I'll be fine.
And I would say like I know a lot of times people ask like, okay, who are you dragging? And they'll throw out a name, and it's like, okay, I don't think you should throw out that person's name because then they'll vote for you because they know who you'll drag at that point. And so I think keeping things close to your chest when this round does come up, and just leaving the uncertainty in everyone's mind, and just playing that uncertainty really really goes far.
That happened in the Big Brother mini. It was everyone voted for what's his name? He got in the Facebook fight.
Jesse.
Are you talking about Jesse?
Jesse, yeah. Everyone voted for Jesse because he like very vocally stated that he was going to drag Rachel, which is what he did, despite the fact that Rachel actually tried to save him that round.
Yeah.
And it was because it was easy. Like, oh, he's not going to come after me. Great, drag Rachel. I'm not mad, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Is that when she LOS'd Andy?
No, I think that was before. Right? I think that was before.
Oh, yeah. I thought she literally LOS'd Andy, so Jesse went home and then dragged her.
No, I think I think you're right. She used an LOS the round she left, just not on her.
Yeah.
Not funny. How's Rachel doing?
Funny. She okay? Someone check on Rachel.
Sweet girl.
Is she running on a treadmill right now? I hope.
Well, audience, any other twists that you feel we should talk about, that we should just get into? Come on, now would be the time.
Can I say one quick thing?
Of course, Charlie, please.
Just like something that I was talking to Kim about this the other day, just all these strategies and all these different rounds quickly on a Zoom. And something that she says that I think is really important is no individual round strategy or anything is as important as kind of understanding the characters that you're in a game with. And, you know, it's hard to predict what some people are going to do, especially not necessarily understanding everyone's motivations who plays a Sequester Mini. Some people want to be really entertaining and get their name mentioned a lot. Some people really want to win. Some people are game bots. Some people, they just want to make it to the next round. You can't really understand every round. They're not breakable because you're with different people every time, and that's what makes these games so fun. So I think, you know, as other people have said in this call, like the most important thing is you have to be playing your game that can win, and if that puts you more at risk in any given round, you've got to do that. And sometimes that means, you know, implementing, you know, a 4-vote strategy in the even numbered round. Done, deal, easy. But also, like, it's so different for different kinds of players and different skill sets. And so I think, like, you know, these strategies only go so far. If there's something we never mentioned and it seems like the right thing in that round, like, you probably should go for it. You know, you've got to, vibes are the most important thing.
I'm about to be so corny jumping off of that, but know yourself as a player. Know what your strengths are, know your weaknesses are, and have the ability to adapt. I think that's the first game I played, despite the fact that I didn't know these rounds and didn't know what the strategies were for them, I adapted to each of those situations. And I knew like what my skills were and how I could make sure that I stayed safe. That's the most important thing. So like know who you are as a player, know what your strengths are, and always trust your gut. Like always trust your gut. Because if you go home, you want to know you left playing as hard as you could, that you played the best game that you specifically could play, and recognize that you can't play the same way twice. You know, Sarah, you're used to playing with a big target. I'm in Sequester, I haven't had to do that. If I played a third game, I would probably have a massive target on my back. So
Definitely.
like, you know, all those situations are going to breed different results. So just making sure that you are aware of your surroundings and aware of what you need to do and who you are as a player. That's, you know, and have fun, as cheesy as it sounds.
So I think going off of Sharifa's point, I think one of the best examples of playing, like letting your personality enter the. Oh, I thought that was a graphic. Wait, is that a graphic?
For a hot second, I thought it was a graphic.
It's my actual cat.
I was like, whoa, I like that. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, but going off of Sharifa, I think allowing your personality to also enter the game is a huge thing, because I think I want to use Angelica as an example, because we saw those who were watching the past Saturday mini compared to her first mini, where she was just very shy and that was not her personality at all. And then this current mini was her personality. Even though she didn't get the win, I think she played phenomenal. And so like allowing your personality and allowing your strength, like if you're good with people and you're easy, you know, to talk to and easy to form connections to, play that up, you know? And so definitely let your personality enter the game with you as well. And just like Sharifa said, like have fun. This is a fun game that we voluntarily play. And so like you should enjoy it as much as you can.
And recognize there's always going to be different strategies and different kinds of players, and there's no one rule. I mean, like, shout out to Brett, who played in my mini and was the runner-up and played an incredible game, a very strategic game, very under the radar in a positive way, and then came and was a big target when he needed to be. And like I was sitting at the end and I had floated for most of the game. So like there's not one set style that's going to win it. There's not one set style that's going to get you to the end. Yeah, it's just really about all the things that we've just said, like knowing who you are as a player and being able to adapt.
Yeah, I agree. Like you do have to know yourself and play to your best strength. Like I've always
Bryce, I called him Brett. I'm so sorry, Bryce.
I was sitting here the whole time. I was like,
Bryce, I'm so sorry.
Drag her.
Drag me. I deserve it.
Brett, you were so good in the final two, and Brett, you were even better this last weekend, Brett. So
I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe Brett's like his drunk alter ego. So maybe it was Brett.
Yeah, there you go.
I've said this before. I'm not good with white names. I'm just not. All right. It takes me a second.
We got a lot of people. We were saying before we went live that we didn't think we needed to talk about this because it's been talked to death. But the thing we got overwhelmingly the most when I asked if there was something we should talk about was Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, Final Four.
Oh, wow. Overwhelming.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Okay. I've never been to the Final Four. Cheers.
I got fourth at Final Four once. That's about it.
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about, Tiara.
I didn't play it right. I should have targeted Sharifa. I should have said, Sharifa, I'm voting you. And I should have pulled in Bryce, I think. I should have said, Bryce, I'm going to drag you if you don't vote with me. And I should have done that. And I didn't know how to play it. And I
feel like that's what happened to Sarah, too. In our mini, she got fourth.
I have a strategy. I have a strategy that I don't want to say in case I ever do play again, because I plan on implementing it for this Final Four. But here's what I will say. Because this round, I remember like our setup, and I can speak to the two times I've played, I've made it here once. And that was with TR, that was with Bryce, not Brett, that was with Bryce. And Jonathan. And for me, I think that knowing when not to talk is so beneficial here, because people will dig themselves into a grave. We saw this in the Survivor Final Four. Like Kellen, she knew, keep her mouth shut. She was in a great position. She didn't need to say nothing. And especially if you know that you have a really good chance at winning at the end and you're not being targeted here and it doesn't really matter who leaves, know when to talk. Do not bury yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Both times I've done this, I knew I was getting votes. I've never been in a situation where I could kind of just keep quiet and see. I always had to talk my way in. But be aware of that. Like, be aware of your position in the game going in. because you need to know whether you need to start talking immediately or you let someone else throw out a name. If you know that you're going to be the target, you need to immediately latch on to someone and let them know what the situation is and don't let up. Like if you're going to get the votes, you let that other person know that they need to vote with you or it's done, and just don't give them any other option. You know, I went as far as to apologize and be like, this is just what the game is, but you're going to get third place if I do get voted out, and just let them know that their game is over unless they decide to vote with you.
And also, don't be afraid to get a little manipulative here. And it's not a fun word to use, but like, Tiara, I told you I had no issue with you leaving this round, but I like fought with you to ensure that you didn't drag me. And so like, I love you to death. But you know, like, if you see things going the way that you need it to, don't be afraid to like throw a vote. Don't be afraid to like make sure that person who's probably leaving feels good with you, so that you don't end up getting dragged. Because it's not about just making it past Final Four. You also need to make it past Final Three.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, going back off what Sharifa first said, I remember after I first won my mini, and even looking at people do the what is it called when you pick people to be on your team? Draft. People doing drafts. And then just some people were saying, oh, like his first game that he won, he played the Final Four horribly. And I'm like, I don't believe I did at all, because I really didn't speak because no one was speaking to me, like just directly. You know what I mean? And so it was no reason for me to have to speak up and throw out any specific name out there. And I think I also want to get to kind of not how to win, but if you – okay, I don't know how to really phrase this, but in my meeting, my first meeting that I won, Sarah was in there, and it was Angelica, and it was Zach. And I said, and I was like, I'm going to vote for Sarah, but I'm not going to drag her. And I think those are like completely like different things, and kind of getting off of like the strategy behind it. But I oftentimes feel like drag the person who is least deserving to be in the final two. That you personally feel, and so that's why I said I will vote for Sarah to leave, but I will not drag her if I'm voted out. And luckily I didn't get dragged at all. And so I think speak when you need to, and know, like, I think the key is knowing when to speak is really beneficial in this round.
I remember defending your play there, Jacob, because I saw it. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I think the key here is you should not have the Final Four round end with that person who you would drag not knowing that you're going to drag them, right? They need to know when they go into the vote, when they're voting, that if they don't do what you said to do, that their game is done. I think that's what I've come away with on how to play it.
Okay, people. Final chance for any other twists you want us to address.
I do want to hear because I know, Sarah, I know you wish that you would have played that round differently. I just want to see, like, how would you have played that round differently when we were in Final Four? This
is upsetting still. It's like a month ago. I don't even like to talk about it, to be honest. I don't know. I think what maybe I should have done was, obviously I had to force a tie. And I think, Jacob, you were the best player over me. Mm-hmm. No, everyone was so obsessed with getting me out that it was all they could focus on at Final Four. But I don't think there's a scenario where Jacob doesn't beat me in Final Two. But I don't think I realized that, which was my problem. I think I also thought I was going to win in the moment, but like looking back, I think I probably should have, if I knew that, tried to have pushed the vote onto Jacob, at least to get a tie, because I think I should have told, I don't know. I think what I should have done was somehow convinced Angelica and Zach that I would have, I don't even know. I don't think there's any way I get out of that. I don't know. I guess there is from a wheel, but.
Yeah. I don't know either.
I don't even know.
I was just wondering.
Do you press the
I think I should have said that if we get it to a wheel, I will drag Jacob if I get wheeled out, and Angelica and Zach, that's your only chance of winning, is if me and Zach, if me and Jacob both go out here, I will drag Jacob on a wheel. I thought about that,
It could have worked, yeah.
But I was just kind of, I don't know. Everyone was like, no, we're all voting you, Sarah. And I was like, are you sure? I don't know. I was pretty drained from that entire game. I gave up, and I admit that. And I know that's sad, but that game was so exhausting.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, but I can get.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you had a great time.
Oh my goodness.
But Zach, I said Angelica the whole time. I don't think I ever flipped on voting on Angelica that round. Zach says he needed a name, but I think I always said Angelica.
Yeah, I
But the
think you
name
threw out
was
a
voting.
name. Yeah.
I always said I was voting Angelica. But the drag is what changed. Because then I got sad. I was like, oh, am I really going to take out Jacob right now? I was like, I got sad. Would you have voted me if I like kept pushing it? Do you think you would have? Would you have still voted me? I think you maybe probably would have. I think you would have tried to think I was like. I think you would have thought I was bluffing.
No, I would have voted you no matter what, just because I was like, me and Angelica, and then me had a separate relationship with Angelica, and then I had a separate relationship with Zach.
Yeah. Which that's
me,
what and if I stuck to it, I would have dragged you.
Yeah.
If I like because I think like your last word is your law, like not necessarily your first. I don't know. Yeah, I played it poorly, and everyone knows that. Brent already like called me and like ripped me a new one. No, he's actually so nice. Brent's really nice when he like redoes game talk with someone. But yeah. Oh, I'm sad.
I know you said other rounds, TR. I don't have other rounds. I do have like, we talked about it, but I think there's a different way to play this game on like every type of player you are, like social player, or if you're a big target. But what I do want to say, just because I've seen a trend, and this has been like heartbreaking as like a bigger female player, seeing this happen, like towards the end game, truthfully, that is when like the bigger players are going to be the most in danger, especially if they're being kept around as shields. This is the opportunity that people are going to take them out. Do not be afraid to embrace that title. And we've seen so many times, and I think the one that's just so clear to me is Dina in the international mini, of like trying to reduce the size of her game so that she didn't get the votes towards the end. And sometimes I really think it's actually better to be like, hey, and I said, and TR, you saw me do this strategy in that game, but of being like, yeah, I did this, and yes, I'm a bigger person. This is why you get me out next round. But this round, it is more conducive for you, and these are the reasons why to take out this person. Just focusing on getting to that next round and then reevaluating your strategy and going from there. Like, do not be afraid to lean into the fact that you are a big target and use it as a reason for people to keep you around at the end. Say, hey, listen, bring me to Final Four. I'll get the votes,
Yeah, which I said that in that game with Jacob, but I did get the votes.
It's actually beneficial to be in that position, because if you can get past 5, then you're going into 4 as the person who is getting 2 votes and have the opportunity to threaten someone and take it to the wheel. So then you're in a situation where you just need to convince one person to vote with you. And if you get there and they stick with you, you're safe, at least for the round, because they're going to the wheel. So yeah, 5 is the key to get past, I feel like.
Yeah, that's why I like All Stars games now, because now my strategy is just to take all the big people with me. So then you actually can like debate whether or not you're like the bigger target. You know what I mean? But like in the private, I don't know. It's hard in like the normal ones, the patron ones, like to convince people I'm not a bigger target than other people.
There's a question that Team Paul, if you want to pull it up, could anyone post some new and original jury questions? I have like one thing I want to say on this fact. Do not make, and we've said this a few times, do not make that moment about you if you're on the jury. It's Laganja Estranja, it's not your moment. It's not, and I like use that time to collect information that you need in order to make the most informed vote. So the only thing I'll say about this is don't make the question about yourself. It's your time left, girl. It's gone. Get the information that you need. That's all I'm gonna say there.
I really, really like the question, and maybe someone said it before me, but I've been saying it lately, is what was your biggest mistake? And I like it because it very quickly will show you how much someone was paying attention the whole time. Like if they're like, oh, at 8, like, and someone played an LOS at this time, like I could have gone home. Like, but if someone's like, they're like, oh, well, maybe I should have talked to like Gerald more in Final 14. Like, then you're like, okay, like did you just sort of like mosey your way here, you know? And that's an important thing for me as a juror when I'm voting, is I want to see, you know, who was able to implement a strategy. And if that strategy was just, I didn't have the luxury of making a strategy, I had to survive, like, I want to hear that. So I like what's your biggest mistake as kind of a catalyst to maybe their most interesting strategic moments that they might not have thought about.
I like that.
I'll say on the oh, go ahead, Jake.
No, I was about to say something. I can't even think about what I was about to say. You got it, Louie.
I was just gonna say on the flip side of that, from a final two perspective, try to craft a story. I feel like that's one of the things I'm most passionate about, is that know when you're going in there what you want to achieve in terms of what you want to tell the audience, right? Like, I feel like you can do so much in a final two, even if you're not going in as the favorite winner. You have that stage. If you can out-talk that other person, even if your game wasn't that great, if you can out-talk that other person badly, you can still win. So I feel like be very aware of what you want to say and make it more epic than maybe it even was. Like, try to shock people, try to get people on board and have them rooting for you by the end of it. And I feel like you have a good shot at winning.
Look at that prom mini. It goes into everything you just said, Louie. Like, TSL had a story, and that's how she won that end, was that story. And you had Brandon who is listing all the things about his game and what had happened in the game and these brilliant strategies that were implemented. And all of TSL's answers were about the story of her finally winning after this long journey of being robbed right at the end. And it won her the game.
Passion. It's all about passion. Just have passion when you're talking, and people will believe it.
Yeah. Or if people want good example, I loved the influencer final two with Brendan and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just because I feel like he gave the best fight. He was still, he still lost, but
yeah.
I thought it was gonna be unanimous, and then it was 4-3.
Hey Sharifa, through you talking with all the strategy, it's getting me excited to see you play again. By the way,
I feel like I can't play again because everyone's gonna be like, "Pretty girl, let's hate on her."
But then you have to fight and be more scrappy, which I'm excited to see.
Here's the thing. I've been thinking about it because, you know, one of the things I talked about when I played my first Sequester Mini was how nice it was to not play with what word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Stigma?
Not stigma, but like
reputation.
A label. What the hell?
Reputation.
Target?
Thank you.
Huge target.
Reputation. Yeah, because I like.
Huge target.
It was reputation.
Target.
It's a pyramid. I won.
10 points to Gryffindor. No, because like
Slytherin.
Org communities I'm from is Hufflepuff. Let's go.
Yeah, Hufflepuff.
Oh, y'all are too sweet. No, I played that game with reputations because I came in one played and then came back and made it to final three. Like I was always used to having a rep, and playing the game with a rep is just like, it's brutal. I mean, Sarah, you can speak to it. Like, you were a target that entire game, and my 2 games I've gotten to play like under the radar, and I came out when I needed to. So like, I'm nervous to play again because I know I'll have to play as a big target. Like, I'd be the Brayden, and yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
It's just exhausting because you're always the backup vote. You know what I mean?
Always the backup vote. Yeah. I mean, Brayden needed like 3 LOSs to make it through our game TR.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But I love Sequester, so it's fine.
Well, thank you, panel, for joining us here tonight, discussing some strategy. Hopefully, you out there watching, you can glean some knowledge from some of what we said here tonight, and who knows, maybe go out and play the most epic game of Sequester that has ever been played.
And win.
You have to give us all credit. You have to give us credit.
During the game, in a confessional.
Yeah, exactly.
Name all of us.
Please. We're going to be going live again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern for finally our episode 2 of our Shattered Watch Party. So if you have not seen the first episode of Shattered, go watch the first episode watch party. It's very fun, very weird 2004 sleep experiment reality competition show. So definitely worth catching up on. I'm going to share your social medias if you want to talk about it briefly. Tell people what they might be able to find. Sarah, you want to kick us off?
Oh, very bad Twitter, but I'll follow you back. So if that's all you care about, great follow by me.
Hell yeah. Look at that. Be sure to go give Sarah a follow. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us here tonight. Jacob, how about you?
I only really tweet if one of my friends are playing Sequester, or if I like what someone says on Podquester. But follow me and we can chat. I'm always open for a good chat.
Boom. Go chat with Jacob down below. All right. And Charlie, how about you?
Sequester, tweet about Sequester. Sometimes, politics or like the bathroom, but I think that's, if you want to follow a 21-year-old, nuisance on Twitter, go right ahead.
You're really selling it.
There you go.
I think we're all selling it.
Yeah. All right. Wow, man. If you're not following Charlie or any of these other three, what are you doing? Sharifa, how about you?
Oh, yeah, go follow me. I post quality Sequester content. Come on over to my house.
I really love you. I really love the first DM I sent Sharifa was about the meme she made with Netta on one side and Akawang on the other side. And it like blew up. And that was the first DM I sent you before even pre-gaming started. And Sharifa's Twitter is actually one of my favorites in the Sequester community.
Thank you.
I'll give you that. Of course.
Thank you, Jacob. You can have the 2-time winner crown. I'll have that.
We can trade.
I love it. Let's go.
And now to Jacob's least favorite Twitter, Louie. Do you want to?
Yeah. Follow me, rank and rate, for a good time. It's a good time on the Twitter. Feel free. Come on board.
I love Louie.
I never put the I don't even know what I thought. I feel like I read it as like Kendrate. I don't even know.
Rank and rate.
I was originally just gonna rank stuff and rate stuff, but that never happened.
What is the story?
He said he was going to rank and rate Survivor players, right?
Yeah, I was going to rank every Survivor player who had ever played. That was the original idea behind the Twitter, and I never did it. And then, here we are 5 years later, and, people actually care what my Twitter is. So
I remember seeing the name Rakendrate, and I maybe I just had flashbacks to war stories of playing Halo online and seeing usernames like that. I just thought it was your gamer profile.
Rakendrate.
It seems a lot of people never read it that way.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I want to say, first off, I think Podquester is literally phenomenal. In a lot of different aspects. And I literally think the schedule that y'all build out is literally I typically watch TV or something like that after at 7 o'clock or, the challenge or Big Brother or Survivor or depending on what, depending on what, but just having my evenings filled with whatever conversation and topic that y'all talk about, it's just really special. And then after adding Sharifa and Susie, with their segment, it's definitely amazing. And I messaged both of them just about what they were saying and how powerful it was. And so I definitely want to applaud the whole Podquester crew for amplifying voices and being a light and a beacon for this Sequester community. I think y'all are a really big deal. I'm super honored to have played with all of y'all. And it's a complete honor just to be on the show and to be asked. So thank you, Sharifa, TR, Louie, Susie, Mallory for putting up with TR and his crazy hours. And so just the entire thing. And so it's definitely a special gift and treat to tune in on YouTube or Twitch or even just to rewatch. And it's so dope. And so thank y'all so much.
Oh, thanks
Jacob. For thinking we're not boring.
Yeah, we were told we were the most boring podcast someone's ever attempted to listen to yesterday.
Really? Listen, y'all be proud of me. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say nothing. That's all I'm gonna say.
The clapback queen.
Well, thank you, Jacob, for that beautiful outpouring. Charlie, Sarah, I'm ready for yours. Maybe you have it. No.
And I also love Jacob, who I haven't gotten to talk to. Everyone is awesome. Everyone is so sweet. and you guys have built up such a really great thing here. Jacob said it better, but I agree with all that stuff.
Well,
Sarah's okay too.
Sorry, I'm not good with nice words. As someone once said, I'm incapable of making genuine relationships. So,
Sarah, we should talk more.
We love Sarah.
Oh my gosh.
well, thank you again. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us tonight. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to follow their Twitters. We had them down below. It's on Twitter as well. I think I put out a tweet. So there's plenty of ways to go find it. Go follow them. I'm going to move the three of you backstage while we wrap up. So you're welcome to head out or be a voyeur and watch us backstage, whatever you want to do. But thank you to the three of you for being here tonight. Charlie, you especially, you and those mountains of yours. Thank you.
We'll talk about it later.
Sounds good.
Bye.
All right, guys. Bye. Wow. It's just the three of us.
Finally.
Thank God. I'm glad they're
What a
gone.
time.
Good. So how do you think that went? I think that was great. I think that we really got into the strategy, to the nitty gritty of some of these twists. You know, I think we're really starting to figure out what makes this game tick. What do you think?
I feel like we need to come up with new strategies because we basically just said everything we would ever do if we ever played Sequester.
I clocked that. I was like, well, now everyone's going to know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, I think someone made a joke earlier that they were like taking notes of everything we were saying, like of who said that they wouldn't self-vote in like a highest even number of votes round. Yes, Kim was on our stream yesterday for our mom and daddy advice stream, and she dropped an exclusive on the podcast. So if you didn't know, last night, that's when the floodgates were open. She is organizing a super crazy cool mini coming up in the future that's going to be Sequester Undercover. Contestants are going to be masked. They're going to be playing with voice changers. This is definitely a game for big targets in the Sequester community who are maybe worried about being targeted if they go and play a normal mini. This is the game for you because no one's going to know who they're playing with up until jury. I believe at jury, once everyone's made jury, the plan is that everyone's going to unmask, and then you'll know who you've been aligning with the whole time and who you've been plotting against. And should be very interesting. It's also, I believe that Kim explained that there's going to be some different charitable aspects to it where all the players are going to be playing, but there's also going to be audience votes where the audience can donate to the charities of their choosing based off the players they're rooting for. So I'm sure it's going to be a big fun night. I think that's coming up at the end of next month, she said. Louie, do you recall?
Yeah, I believe end of July.
I'm glad I wasn't dropping the ball on that. Yeah, so look for that. I believe that she posted it on her Twitter, Kim Matina, 2 T's, Kim Matina. Go check that out. What makes you think jury? Well, because you said it, Kim. You literally said it. I'm pulling a quote from you. You said at jury they would reveal their. So unless you changed your mind, which you were totally entitled to, but I am just saying I'm not pulling this out of thin air. I'm trying to think what else. Yes. So we will have some schedule changes. We had initially on our schedule that we were going to be doing a Survivor mini live commentary, but because Taryn and RHEP are doing it, we won't be doing it. But we will be adding, this is an exclusive, you're hearing it here first. We will be doing an all people of color panel, live commentary panel for the all people of color private mini this Sunday. So look for that. And then there'll be an after show for it, I believe, on Monday, the following day. Lots of stuff coming up. Sharifa, you look like you were about to say something.
I was just going to say, Susie and I are excited because we're taking over Podquester. We're kicking them out. We're going to do a roundtable for live commentary for the POC Mini. Please make sure to check that out. That's going to be Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a great panel coming together to live watch it. All people of color. We're so excited. And then we'll be hosting the reunion next day. Also, am I allowed to announce what we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, go for it.
Officially, we will be doing the next iteration of Brown Girl Breakdown next week. It'll be the 24th. We're still narrowing down.
Thursday. The 24th
Wednesday.
is okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Wednesday. So it'll be the 24th. Please, please, please come on back, sit on down. We have a really exciting thing planned up. We're going to be looking at pretty much all competitive reality shows and bigotry and what does it mean to play as a marginalized person, how it affects your game. Sorry, I'm wording things awfully right now. It has been a very long day for me, but you get the gist, and really excited to see all of you there. So please make sure to come back on the 24th for that.
We have Mike here asking, yeah, it looks like there's the RHAP Patron Mini on Thursday. Thursday is when we're supposed to be doing our Big Brother discussion stream. So I don't know, perhaps maybe we could work something around there. I don't know. We would have to talk about that. That's not something we've discussed, but perhaps we can make something happen. I don't know. No promises. But yeah, but what Sharifa said and what I said earlier, those are promises. Those are coming your way. Starting, I believe the new editions would be Sunday. So Sunday for the POC Mini, live commentary, the after show on Monday, Brown Girl Breakdown next Thursday. Yeah, should be good. We got a lot coming up in the pipeline. Yes, Jacob Sparks, way to say it. Such a good conversation topic. I think it'll be very, very interesting. No, I meant comment on them commenting. Huh? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't. Oh, I think he apparently was joking. I don't get the joke. I went over my head, Mike. I'm so sorry. Do you know the joke, Sharifa? Do you know
yeah, he's saying like do a live stream of Taryn's live stream. So instead of critiquing the game, we're critiquing Taryn's live stream.
Gotcha.
I'm on board with that.
I like that. I would do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. Too.
I think that sounds right, and I feel like a bozo for not getting that. Okay, what else? You can follow the show at Podquester Mini. So when I post the schedule update, which I'm still waiting to see if we can finalize one additional stream to add in.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of where and exactly what time, but it'll be Friday.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing is I can't put out the schedule until I know it. So we still got one thing for Friday that we're working on. We got to figure that out. But as soon as we know that, that's when we'll be posting our whole new updated schedule. I believe the only other tweak that's notable is that and this also may be tweaked depending on if our schedule Thursday tweaks. But on Thursday, we were going to move our Big Brother Australia discussion from 8 to 9. But now who knows what the hell is going to happen with the fact that there's that mini on Thursday. We'll keep you posted. So follow the show on Twitter at Podquester Mini. You can follow us on Twitch where we do our live commentaries. So you can catch the Friday mini live commentary and then the Sunday private mini commentary there. What else? Yes, I'm going to drop this link in the chat. I also have it pinned on my Twitter. Black Lives Matter, guys. It's still something that we should be talking about. I'm dropping this link here. Great resource if you somehow still have not checked it out yet. Great way to check out where to donate, where to call, where to email, where to protest, all the things you could possibly need to know to help the cause. So check out that link. Someone saying get some sleep. Getting plenty of sleep. Thank you. What else? I feel like I'm always missing something. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Thank you, you brave souls, for all that you do for us. Thank you to Will from America for our theme song that we use at the beginning and the end of the show. He also does all the music for all of Sequester. So if you're a fan, if you like the elimination music, if you like the prom music, if you like the emo music that they debuted for those special theme nights, hit up Will from America and he'll probably, design you a song for your next thing. Design a song, compose you a song for your next thing. Anything else, Sharifa?
That was so beautiful, Tiarn.
There's a lot to go through. I know. There's something I somehow missed. I don't know.
I think we're all set.
Covered it.
Beautiful. Well, then I'm going to go because I'll just ramble. But I won't. I won't. So thank you for joining us. Catch you tomorrow. Follow us all on Twitter, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.